And I'll make a motion that the town of East Troy extend a conditional offer to Scott Runge as lieutenant of the town of East Troy Police Department with a potential start date of December 26th,
Second.
2022. All right,
Second.
Bill Walker, second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, 5-0. Next item on the agenda is sell old squad trailer to the fire district. And actually that, I guess you heard about it through Chief DeGaro, and then you got, all, I mean, where are we at with it? What do you think?
A couple weeks ago, Chief DeGaro asked me, we were in discussion, I was getting a tour of the fire department, and we were discussing the old squad car, and I don't know why or how, but the topic came up, and I said, I'm looking to sell the old squad car. He said, I'm looking for a command vehicle, would you be interested in selling it to me? I said, yes, let me check into what the value is. I then contacted our rep from Ewald several times, sent photos of all four sides of the car along with the current mileage. As of yesterday, I phone called and emailed with zero response. So I took it upon myself to go to the internet and Google 2018 Ford Interceptor police package. This website popped up. I put in what our mileage is, which I believe is 98,000 miles. So I tried to keep the mileage close to what we were to see what the value of that vehicle is, and printed off the sheets that you have in front of you.
Okay,
So this is not the one with the transmission issues right now?
Correct. The one with the transmission issues. I don't know what's going on with that car, sorry, but I haven't had the same clunking going on the last week that it was doing before. And I did talk to Todd about that, and he said just let him know and we'll get it in, but no, this is not that car.
so you have three, I guess you'd call it,
Comparables.
and they're all close, 13,795, 995, and 999. So I mean, they're all within $200, three of them, okay?
And then this has the cage and all the equipment and everything?
Yeah, we would
This is not
have-
the one going back and forth to the boat launch?
Though that still had all the cage and everything
Okay.
in it, we have to remove
And you-
the cage and the back seat and put the old back seats in. The question that I didn't ask Chief DeGaro is about the center console, because that center console plate,
Right,
we're never gonna use it again. All the new squad cars are a different shape, and that's not interchangeable anymore. So to me, it would be senseless to take out the radio bank console for something we can't use it for, and just leave that in. But the cage, the divider cage, and original back seats need to go back in the car.
So is the 13 range what you were expecting to get, or
I was actually really shocked that it was that high.
that's,
I'll be honest, I was thinking police car, this, that, and the other thing. I was thinking that the Ewald was gonna tell me around 8.5 is what they would pay for it, but they haven't gotten back to me. So when I saw these prices from a different dealership that high, I was shocked. I would not anticipate, and I don't think it would be good faith to ask the fire district to pay the full retail price from a potential dealership.
Yeah, because this would be as if you're gonna go buy a used car, that's what the number would be, and then you differ,
These are sold as squad cars, so that's what they're being advertised as. As squad cars for potential pickup by smaller agencies, and Hebron, Illinois comes to mind that needs a car with under 100,000. This is the place they're gonna go.
okay, how many miles are on ours?
Like 98,000, I think I said.
98K,
they're all higher.
104,000, 121,000,
136.
136, and we're still pretty high. So,
Yeah.
so now the only argument is between how much should we really drop it from this, you know, this price versus, you know.
And again, I mean, the fire department's all part of our community.
Yeah.
I wanna be fair, but, I mean, is this something like you can barely get a squad car, so the value of these vehicles is probably holding, I would imagine, due to that reason.
Limited availability,
Limited
yep.
availability, like
By then.
everything else seems to be holding.
You know,
Not that I won't
All
pay
vehicles, yep.
top dollar, but I'm assuming maybe might be get a
Which
little more on.
I think that's what Chief DeGaro was alluding to, is when he started looking at a command vehicle, that the prices are outrageous, so, and again, and again, I wanna help them out if we can, but on the same token, I don't wanna give it away because
Right.
that money can buy squad equipment that we desperately need, and that's on order and offset those costs, so.
Okay, so were you thinking of a number, was the chief, Darrell thinking of a number, does any numbers?
Chief was hoping for about 11,000, and why we are doing this negotiation is, one, to keep the, money in the district. Two, Chief DeGaro, since being hired a year plus ago, he has been only reimbursed for his mileage on his personal vehicle, and that suffered a crash about 10 days ago, so we have his personal vehicle is hurting.
Was he on shift when that happened? Like,
Yes, sir.
on the clock? Yeah.
And it is a greater insurance liability. He has to, because he was driving his personal vehicle, it's his personal insurance that must handle the claim.
And you reimbursed
And
him?
I personally, in good faith, I do not believe that our district employees should be spending his money to do our job. And that's
Well,
what's
I'm
going
sure
on.
his insurance company will come back to
We'll
your
come
insurance.
to the district for that. Like, if I'm driving my vehicle for work and I get into an accident, I'm on the clock, that's. they-
I understand.
I agree, I don't think he should have to pay.
It is for, even if I use my personal vehicle here.
I
it's the
You
same
know,
thing.
for the mail or whatever, you're on the clock. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it would, the time to get a command vehicle brand new is at least 2 years. This vehicle comes better suited for hauling the equipment that Chief DeGaro needs to respond to a call, whether it's an EMS or a fire call. And like I said, we're running over 100 EMS calls
Well, we could leave the lights on and everything.
He might want the light, not want the light bar, he may wanna go with
Red and white only.
the red and white underneath the dash, yeah, the blue, that'd be, no good.
Change the lens on those?
Okay, so,
Are those, can you switch those to other, and even another squad, those light bars and such, or?
Yeah, we
You know, that we can
could,
utilize?
yeah, the light bar can be changed out, or, again, it's your guys' car. If Chief DeGaro wants the light bar up there, I'm sure he and I know enough people at Gen Com, they can probably swap that lens out for,
Sure.
and it's not just a lens change anymore, a light change, for the red and white type of pattern, but that's up to you folks.
okay.
I have no,
I would think, that the proper way to do this is to say, yeah, you can have it for this number. And the number I just come up with now, just messing around with 12.5. You guys got a gut feeling what you think we should send it to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
You're halfway between 11 and 12.
yeah, I don't think you're that far off, like, again, you know, we have things coming up that we have to pay for, and I'm not, you know, I don't wanna
Yeah.
stab anybody, but if it's a valuable piece of equipment, and if it can help out our.
The only thing that change that won't happen, and that's you all saying 15,000, okay? It'd be more likely the number that you said, okay, because they have to do things to it before they would sell it, as well as market it, and well, have it on their lot, as well as.
Difference if you trade it in, or you trade your car in, or you sell it outright, you get more when you sell it outright than you do trading them in typically, but.
Yeah, so that's my, you know, you get 12.5, or you think we should go closer to the number on the search here?
Well, I spent a career driving police cars as hand-me-downs, and they were used by my department in the city of Franklin. It's a great car, cause they're regularly maintained, the only problem is they run.
Yep.
They're always running. So it's been serviced, I'm guessing, and there's no known defect. So my only hangup is, we pay about 40% of the
Right.
price
Yeah.
of, so it's that 40% number. And I'd give it to them if I could, so the lower the number, the better in my head. I'd go for 11.
Okay. Okay, so we have an 11, we have a 12.5. What do you guys think? Throw a number, what do you got?
I'm
saying
gonna
Jeff,
go
because-
with 11, that Chief DeCaro was,
Okay, we have two at 11, I had a 12.5, Jeff?
Yeah, I don't think you're far off at 12.5 for the amount that we pay to the fire district alone is, and not that we do that for a reason, but I think that would be a fair
Okay.
price in the way they're holding value in 2 years to get a new one, and
Mhm.
we know it's been maintained, we're
Okay,
in
so
good faith not knowing of anything go wrong with it, so I think it'll last them.
all right, so we have two at 12.5, two at 11. You're a tiebreaker or an average maker.
Yeah.
You buy and sell stuff, right?
Yeah, I think, I mean, like I said, it looks like you picked in the middle, you know,
Yeah.
he's at 11, these are at 14, I think we split the difference, yeah, I'm good with the 12.5.
Okay, so we have two of them are lower, so I don't think anybody would argue with 12 even then. If we average your board out here, 12,000.
That's fine.
12?
Probably more than you'd get on a trade-in anyway, so I mean, it's good for us, it's good for them,
I think so.
you know.
All right, we need a motion then for the 12.
I make a motion that the town of East Troy sell the old police squad car to the East Troy area fire district for $12,000.
We have a
Or at
second.
least offer it, yeah.
It'd be offered to.
I'll second.
Anybody else second? Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Much appreciated.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the rest of the interviews.
Thanks.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty excited. This went way smoother than I ever possibly anticipated, so.
You have better luck than we did.
Knock on wood so that
Yeah.
it's safe.
Yeah.
Okay, next item on the agenda, I'll read it. Discussion on developing policies and procedures for agendas, meeting reports, written reports versus verbal reports from committees, committee appointments, number of members on the committee, expectations of committee, posting requirements for committees, and how expensive committees are approved. That's the only item we have on the agenda. And I think we'll wait until Kim and Jen are done, because I think Jen's leaving, and Kim will shut it off, I believe, when we're done. I believe that's what we're doing. It is,
So we can't talk about this.
Kim has said,
No, it's not
The
on the
plowing,
agenda.
in the line with the plowing.
Oh, no.
I asked him.
okay. Where do we start? I guess would be a good question here. We can go in this order here, or start with the law and go backwards. Bill made a good point when he brought up about, come to a meeting, and a lot of times the agenda items on there, the first we know about it is what's discussed here. And that's not also bad, because I always go back to Jim Burns, and Burns said, well, whatever you're gonna discuss, it happens here. But there is something to be said that you guys we all may wanna do a little homework before we get here, so we can talk, knowledgeably and accurately, on, the question at hand on the agenda. So, a lot of these things are intermingled, but they all come to the same thing, and really, mostly it's about committees. And, really, when you go to our own ordinance, it calls out which ones are committees, but then Jim brought up a good point saying, yeah, but some of them are appointments, which is different, okay? And some of them we really have no control over either, they just report to us, like for instance, the Lake Buell Management District, we heard some discussion the last meeting. Well, the gentleman is just an appointee from the town to give us updates on their district, okay? So they run their own district, but they kind of keep the board informed and the public informed, if you'll go to those meetings, on what's going on, how it affects us, okay? And another point was brought up about the park committee. I believe right now, Michelle, you're the only one on the committee, so you're not gonna have any meetings, so that's really not an issue probably until there's more members and then you have meetings, all right? And then the third type, let's see here.
What about like recycling
Yeah, that's-
Recycling, is that us only, or is that combined with the village, or?
No,
That's just us, that's just me and Murphy.
Yeah, that's just the two of us.
So how do we decide that was Mr. Murphy instead of a board member, or what?
Well, again, that's a recycling committee, and that,
Doing it for a
yeah,
while.
that's,
He's
Uh,
a citizen member, yeah,
Yeah.
he's a
Been doing
citizen
it for a
appointee,
while.
just like planning commission member.
yeah. So, that was, he was interested in it, the previous guy,
Bill, Tom, and Ramchick.
Charlie Lamchick, and both of them are kind of cut from the same cloth. They're very, very interested in the environment, in recycling, and they want to be involved, and he was always at our meetings anyway. And when Charlie Lamchick resigned, I asked John, and John said absolutely, okay? And then a little later, Kim, you came on to help out, because really the biggest item you guys
No,
do
I
is the
came on
grant.
because I actually do it.
The grant,
I do the grant itself, I do, I'm the DNR
yeah.
representative.
Yeah, so that's one of those quasi ones where there's really no policy in there, there's no procedures that are really set other than do that grant so we get our money, all right? And John keeps his ear to the ground if something new comes up and, hey, you guys, you may wanna change, your own ordinances here about recycling. It's not always driven by the waste company, sometimes it's driven by the DNR. We haven't had too much of that, as far as I know, so that's another one, and the question is, yeah, do we need?
Is a committee required, or is it more just a process for the
Um,
grant?
Right, you gotta post it, I mean, that's what
Yeah,
we're
that's-
discussing here.
Right.
It's a fine line.
You gotta,
Yeah, it's fine line. I was just looking for, there it is, chapter two
We
point
meet in
four.
my office, so.
no, I don't know what happens, I'm just saying if we're gonna do this, I mean, we should probably do it.
It has
with
to
all,
be
right?
uniform.
Right, is the
And I
library
don't mean to
with
put
the
anything
village?
else on
Well,
anybody.
let's go through them, okay, in the committees, in our chapter 240, the first one listed is the park committee, we just said, there's one member, so there's no meetings. Okay,
Correct.
you bring purchase requests to us and let us know what's going on in your park. Mostly it's been the soccer, when they pick up the trash, recycled stuff, and then events with the school for, as far as landscaping, and the most recent thing was play equipment, correct?
Yep.
So we don't
If we
think
had
there's,
money we had to spend,
yes,
Spend it or lose it or whatever it was.
yeah.
yeah, because
Right.
it's from the rentals, yeah.
The library representative is a little bit even different here because, Murphy, she is a town appointment, but she is also an appointment for the county. Did you know that? She's appointed by both the county and us, and that's the way it's been forever.
There's a distinction to be made. A representative reporting on the library, Booth Lake Memorial Park, Lake Beulah Management District, Potter's Lake. Smart growth, that would be a town committee, but those aren't really town committees.
Well, that was my question, so the library, does that include the other community, the village,
It does,
and so it's run
So
by the
does Bruce Lake.
librarian, or, so we're a participant?
We're just getting updates on what the library is doing. It's
They
not a
have no
committee
board.
that we formed
Mm-hmm.
that they would have to notice up for us, a meeting time, an agenda.
And I'm sure they do that,
That is done.
but it's not.
Yeah, they probably do
They
that,
do, yes,
Yeah,
but they're not our committee that we would have to do it.
Right,
right,
that's why.
they
it
do
says
have
library
village
report.
representative as well,
Yeah,
yes.
because I did that.
And
So my suggestion is, anything that says representative on it is not something that we need to notice and create an agenda for. They're reporting to us what other people are doing. They're not our town-created committees.
Okay, correct. Make sure there's no other ones, so it's library, Booth Lake, Lake Beulah, Potter Lake.
you know, I can't write this fast.
That's,
Come on.
yeah, now,
Everything that says
yes,
representative in
that
the town
includes, that
code.
includes Barton. Emergency Services District, that's a representative,
True,
right, so
we
that's.
don't notice their meetings.
They don't,
I absolutely do. I
No,
do.
No,
we-
we don't have to.
Kim
I
doesn't,
see.
Kim doesn't,
We'll
like,
put it on the bulletin board and then,
right.
right, right. So they all, in other words, those five all run run their own show. They post it, they do the agenda, they do the minutes, okay?
And we don't have a cable committee anymore.
You know, when we update this, we should probably remove it the
I
same
thought
way
we
we removed,
did.
we removed the airport.
But this was
And
on
I
the
don't know why we
website.
kept the cable review committee on. I think maybe we left it on possibly because there was talk of another franchise coming in, and then they all went to court. Well, guess what? Another one can't come in because the franchise agreement says it's us, Time Warner's, now Spectrum, okay? Now, with, internet, you know, that,
Oh,
that,
that's where we.
Wasn't there something coming out on town
Yeah.
line?
Yes.
Right, if maybe it's that way?
Right.
yeah.
And this would,
What's wrong, I mean, there's probably
notice
four different
or agenda because it's one
internet
person.
type things you can get in this town, depending on where you live. And where it exists, yeah. So we got the 5 of them that we mentioned, those state representatives, so we're clean on that.
Could we specify that it's one representative
Appointed
appointed
library is
by,
one,
approved by the
bar
board?
is one,
The fire district will expand.
booth is
No,
one.
we're still gonna get updates from them.
Lake Beulah.
We just don't have to
Potter's Lake is-
Notice of
When they do.
Okay.
what they're doing.
So, okay, so I
They're
would
still gonna
say.
report to us, give us
You
updates.
got that?
Oh,
So we got those 5 that say representatives, so we're clean on that, okay? The
One,
park,
can we say one, there's one
well,
representative?
as of now, they,
appointed,
No.
approved.
Not on
It's not
Booth
gonna
Lake?
be it's not gonna be always.
it's not always.
It's not always just one representative.
Okay, library representative is not on the board. Lake Beulah Management District is not on the board, our board. Potter's Lake is not on our board, okay? Emergency Service District, yes. And Booth Lake, yes. Okay, so, you know,
But it
Again.
hasn't always been.
and it, yes, but that could change if we have a new library agreement and we ever do a joint library, then it's gonna probably be 2. Okay, but we're not there now. So like I said,
But I meant the fire district.
the fire district, that if the agreement changes to change the board makeup, that could change, but that's not now.
Okay.
Not now. Okay, so we have 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7 done. Okay, park committee, we're saying it's not an issue unless you get more members, if it's ever needed. So I'm gonna say that one is good for now. Smart growth, the only thing I ever have on that is if the sewer pack
Of some sort.
or the county call a meeting.
Joe, are you reading off of 2.4?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
that's his list.
That's what the numbers are. So smart growth, if, for instance, when we had the deal, to update it 2 years ago, the 10-year update on the smart growth plan, that one, the board had to all pipe in on what the changes were, and they weren't much, it was very minor changes. But if they'd have a special meeting, again, I'd be a representative there, but I would give probably my report at a board meeting. Okay,
I hate to go backwards, but on the park committee,
yes,
is that something that should be more than one person? Or could it be tagged on to the Booth Lake Memorial Park, or?
no, we
What-
wouldn't do
I
that.
wouldn't combine the two.
Those are,
Yeah, 2 totally separate deals.
Well, or I guess the same
You tell us,
person,
do you
or-
want another member or 2?
Oh, well, I guess we need input from the whole board.
Okay. Well,
Is there enough going on that you need more than one person on?
Well, I guess there was a question about spending the money, and.
Yeah, but you
if
bring
it
that to the
does-
board.
Yeah, it impacts,
You said this is what I'm spending the money on,
yeah,
right? Everything is-
well, we never voted on it, we just said, okay, well,
Right.
sounds good.
right.
There was no formal,
The board trusted me at that time to just say,
You-
this is what I wanna do, this is my budget.
but we should maybe.
That should have been in a motion form.
Yeah. well, we should've-
Yeah.
I don't remember, I
I
know
don't
you
remember that even being discussed.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
You
slide
said here's what you
I
wanna
know
get,
that
and
bench,
Actually
and,
discussed
you
that
know,
meeting, but like I
everything.
said, I don't think there was any,
the crane deal.
there was no like make a motion to do it, we just kinda,
no, there wasn't.
we were all just
Okay.
kinda like, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
But
there
that,
should be motion.
that's what I'm
That's a
saying.
town committee.
That
That
should,
has to be a more formal
Yeah,
procedure.
so that would be an improvement there. Number 1 would be investigate
Is it
another,
one person?
another,
I mean, de facto, we have a committee of one person, but.
right. Well, when Barb did it, you had Donnie Tupel, but I believe you probably did it all by yourself anyway, didn't you? Did you ever have him involved?
Yeah, there were times that he came, but it got fewer and fewer.
Yeah.
Unless it's considered with the DPW, because Todd supports a lot of the activities, or in partnership with the DPW.
I think that's a discussion point at another time, only because that would be changing the makeup of, our ordinance. I don't think it doesn't fit with Booth Lake, definitely doesn't. And yes, DPW does the maintenance on it and stuff like that. But if there's gonna be money spent or improvements done or contacts made with the schools, that would be approved, just like I think Barb did it. So as of right now, it's a committee of one, so it's not an issue as far as notices and agendas or whatever.
Correct.
I would say when things change, we always gotta look at this because that's our law here, our rule. So the only thing I see from this discussion is, if it comes down to our agenda item is, if you're gonna spend money, you say, here's what it is, I thought you did that. Here's what it is, here's how much it is, you check with Kim and say how much money we got, and when's the drop dead date on it, and just do it. And I believe you already contracted that, right? And was that Crane deal?
Yeah, it's all installed.
It's already
Yeah,
done.
there's
Where's the other
two
thing?
rockabouts
And
and like
paid
a
for it,
theater
you
truck.
just signed the check today.
Okay. What it was?
There were two signs
Yeah, I
and 4
seen it.
pieces of equipment.
Just kidding. Yeah, okay, so that would be the outcome for that, so I'm gonna say for now, we're good on that. Smart growth, like I said,
Bringing it to the board for motions.
yes,
Okay.
yes, I think it's spending money, so we all have to do that. Smart growth, what I'm saying is what's gonna happen there, if you have any meetings, and what happens with smart growth is, if sewer pack or the county, with the master planning and the land use plan, they call a meeting, I gotta be there. The only other input I have is when somebody wants to do a rezone that's against the plan, they have to have a plan amendment that gets passed here and at the county. So I would be involved in that only to the basis of coordination, and actually, Jen, for your next one, she'll probably get trained on it, and she'll probably do it, because it's really just paper.
Well, back when Chris Kneep was here, I gave her basically the form resolution that they have to use and what gets sent up to county.
Yep.
So
Is
that should be in a form somewhere floating around.
Jen does have a file.
Okay.
It includes information about holding a public hearing
Okay.
and
Is
the
it like
resolution
every
and
5
everything
years?
like that.
Because that has.
Well, we update it every 10
20,
years,
30.
but if, you could have two of these in our town where people request that, and the only way to do it, they have to spend the money to do it. They say, no, we want to amend the smart growth plan. That doesn't mean it's gonna get passed at the county. The county can
Right.
still say no, okay, but if we don't act on it, they won't act on it.
But it also has a specific time that during the year when it can be
Yes.
done.
Yes,
Because
there's-
the county
I think
will
we have to
only do
get it
in
to them
September.
in August.
Yes.
And then it's noticed for public
September.
hearing in September, and
Yes.
then it's some weird
Yeah,
formula.
yeah, an emergency could happen where they have some business coming in and they say, we wanna do this one out of cycle, and then they would grant that, but there's a cost associated with that too.
Yeah,
That'd be an emergency, a Walmart's coming in my
but it's
backyard,
gotta be
okay?
the benefit of the town.
Right, and behind me, that's not like that, so, okay. So I'm saying on that one, we're probably covered on that. Cable Review Committee, we almost either strike that or actually just put it in parentheses, because there's nothing happening with it. I think it's a holding committee right now of none until the need would arise, and that could be with internet. High speed, especially 5G, okay? That could come before us. And-
So keep cable on?
well, it's on there now, I think we don't remove it, that's the discussion we had last time, why we didn't. We removed the airport one.
Yes.
Because nothing ever happened there, and of course, we had no control over the airport. Okay, all right, then we're down to only two, recycling committee and communications. Recycling committee, there is two people, okay? It's you and John, okay? Your biggest thing in here always is the grant, right? I know you guys meet and.
It's the only
put
time we
together-
meet, we do the grant and the audit.
Okay, so, and again, that's no board members. That doesn't make a difference as far
It
as the
doesn't.
committee. Because remember
Because
we
it's a
did the Shaw
town-
Drive?
It's a town-created
Yes,
committee.
yes,
And we chose not to have a board member, but a citizen instead.
correct,
But
correct.
that doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, yeah, created by.
I mean, even if we had a
says.
town-created committee with no board members on it, they still have to have an agenda and
Yeah.
notice.
Right, like we did East Shore Drive and, you know, Bob Miller and I think Tyson was on there and
That was an
Scott
ad
Johnson.
hoc.
That was an ad hoc, you know.
That was the pier one.
No, that was for clearing the right of way
Yeah.
of all those damn boat lists that made it look like crap. Okay, so, what is the verdict then on recycling?
Well,
Committee.
it is a committee and it does work on behalf of the town to secure recycling grant funds. So the 2 times a year you meet, it should be posted.
Posted with an agenda.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I mean, I doubt anyone would show, but you never know. People might be interested in that.
2 meetings a
You're
year.
gonna be moving that meeting into this big room.
Yes, you
pretty
will.
We
soon.
can't, because I need to be on my computer to
Sure.
enter it into the system, so it's gonna have to be in my office. There's no way.
But it really is only twice a year and he
Right.
reports
Truly.
every month.
Well, what John does.
He has reports from what he.
But he
does.
reports like,
Oh,
okay,
the
the e-cycle's
e-cycling
coming
and-
out.
Yeah.
What's going on.
And new laws and,
Yeah.
you know, how we're doing it. Hey, it's twice a year with the electronic recycling?
We had no report.
No,
days
well,
ago.
he has one that he's
Yeah.
looking at, but it's not, no, it's
Right.
chip and scribble.
It was the library money he had last time, so.
And of course, library one has their own, agenda and meeting.
So I'm thinking we should probably, just so everyone on the board or anyone who's interested knows, that the next time we go through the ordinances, put next to each committee whether or not notices will be posted and agendas required, right in the ordinance.
Okay? All right,
Just so people, when they look at it, say, well, how come this meeting wasn't noticed? Well, it'll say right in the ordinance which ones require an agenda and notice and which ones don't.
Jim, do these groups then need to have minutes, approved minutes that are then brought to the board for approval?
Which,
Question.
which groups?
The committees,
Committees, yes, there should be.
the minutes,
Well, then I'm
official
quitting
actions
the
and
recycling
recommendations,
thing.
and bring that to the board for approval.
okay.
Well, all you have to do is Xerox your grant and say, here's my notes, this is what we did.
This is what we did, yeah, yeah, because it is clear, I mean, again, it's in the officer's handbook, that what, you know, who is subject to the open meetings law, and it says town board, which we know, town board committees and subcommittees,
Right,
that's plain English, you know. Now, the agenda deal is a notification to the public to know what's going on there,
right.
so if they're interested, they, well, that's what's going on, I'm gonna come there. No,
And
I'm
there
not
may be
interested.
some recycling people out there that would be interested in showing up the
Would you?
2 times a year that you guys meet.
Sure, it's possible, you know, not likely, but.
Right.
possible. But the way that the law is set is saying that notice has to be given, that's law, okay,
Yeah.
so that's pretty black and white. So, you had mentioned, the other day about the negative quorum, and, that was pretty intriguing to me, because I never heard that term before this year. Is that new, or is that?
That's-
It's the dirt.
It's been around,
Yeah.
but we've never really had a committee with 2 board members on it before,
That's
that
the
we even had to
difference.
worry about it.
Okay, that's the difference.
That's the difference.
And that's the only committee we have to.
And even
Because
then,
we didn't get volunteers, Barb graciously offered.
and even then, it would only come up if someone abstained from a vote or was missing.
Okay,
That's when the 2 board members on that committee would be a negative quorum. Because they could block a motion that someone else made.
okay,
You know,
If-
if
what
the
if another
committee had
member
discussed
was-
what they wanted ahead of time,
okay,
and then someone that's on the board that's not on that committee makes a motion, those 2 are a negative quorum. They could block
gotcha,
anything from happening.
okay.
So the circumstances of that coming up are very slim. But I had to bring it to your attention because we talked about it at my continuing legal education course.
So the bottom line on that one, that's the last one we didn't talk about, that's your committee.
Because obviously the planning commission is already going.
Their own separate requirements for that. And that's always noticed and they have their minutes.
Right, they have full-time staff support.
Right, they have, yeah, actually, Jennifer is the secretary for the
Yeah.
planning.
Right, so
So-
she puts up all the stuff.
I'm sorry, just back to the recycling committees. So when John's having a health problem and he can't come in, I end up doing it by myself,
Well, if he doesn't help you, you didn't have a meeting.
but I have to get the work done.
A meeting of one, you know.
I have to
Question
get,
for Jim.
if
If there's not a meeting-
if I fail to file promptly, then we lose money. Is that what you want?
Hell no.
Well, then,
Post it.
post it.
Yeah, it's posted saying you're filling out the grant application for.
I mean, your agenda's gonna be pretty simple. It'll be
Sometimes it's
one
like,
thing on it.
okay, you know, all right,
Have a
whatever.
file folder and it says that, and then every time you create a new one, you just copy it and change the date and.
Don't shoot the messenger, I didn't make these laws.
Okay, so that's gonna, I guess that's what we have to do. You have to post, you have to have an agenda. And again, if you're talking about transparency, the public has the right to know what's going on with this committee. And they need to know.
Or what will be discussed.
Yeah, and that's the same as our main agendas is, it's a notification that a reasonable person, and actually Bill did a lot of research on that a couple of months ago, about a reasonable person looking at it knows what's gonna be discussed. And then they make the decision whether to be there or not, okay? But they know it's happening.
Well, and I'm gonna suggest that all the committees adopt the format that we use for the town board that says all items listed are up for discussion and possible action.
Discussion, consideration,
Deliberation,
deliberation, and
possible action.
possible
They have
board.
that on their agendas,
Yes,
on all of their agendas.
all of the committees should have that on there.
Yeah. Another thing we could do with our agendas, similar to what the fire district does, you know, public comments deal where it says you can bring up anything you want, and everything's not on the agenda, it cannot be discussed.
Right.
You see the note that the fire district uses, and I believe the village uses?
Well, you don't even have to have public comment on your
You know,
agenda.
I know, but if you have public comments, that's just a modifier.
Certainly, the committees aren't gonna have that on their agendas.
Well, no, I'm saying about our main town board one, that's why I
Oh.
brought that up. Again, it's in that same wavelength. And the other thing, and Chad, I think you asked this question once, why is the, plan commission noticed as, possible forum, whatever, why have it listed that way? When we had a three-person board, because there was always a member on it from the board, it was me, it was Barb, I forget who, Clay. If a second person would have showed up from the board at that meeting, that's meeting of the town board.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I
That's
know, like
why-
Bill and I
We
had,
just
Bill and
went
I
back
came to
when
one
I
of the,
called Leslie.
one of the
Because I
meetings,
was
like
there
Bill
and
managed,
so
so
he
in
had-
case someone else showed up, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I understand that.
yeah, so, I think,
But that was a negative quorum.
which one?
No,
It's
so
when
we're
you were up
blocking
in
anything.
Resident Because, or when you and Bill
Well,
were there.
and we're the one way.
But they weren't on the committee
Right.
that they would
To
have
vote.
power to come up with a motion coming out of that committee to bring it back here to block any legislation.
We were just both at the meeting, so in that way, Kim said, I'll just put it up as a possible forum, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah, well, planning commission always says that, but
Mhm.
there's something else, yeah.
Okay, we got two things we didn't discuss yet, now we got through most of this. Verbal reports versus written reports, and the number of members we started on, and we kind of quit. We were talking about posting and expenses, and of course, any expenses, out of pocket, that stuff's gotta go through, the form you gotta fill out, whatever, but if you're spending town money for something, like you did there, yeah, you just bring it to the board and say, here's what we're doing, and the same questions we had before, Kim, how much we got in that budget, how much is the stuff that you're buying, the board approves it. Now, I think,
Town web, we did that, yeah.
That was impact fee money.
Joe,
Yeah, those are.
We did all of that, nobody made a motion, we all agreed on it, okay, we just never made a motion and did it, I mean,
But
that.
there were
Yeah, I
no
was-
prices brought to the board or anything.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, with town web there was.
yeah.
But I-
No, not
For
town
the
well,
play
but I'm talking
equipment.
about the
The
playground
playground
equipment. That cost was never brought to the board.
Oh.
I remember there being a discussion of impact fees,
Yes.
how much money do we have,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have
you
to
said that,
spend,
yeah.
Yeah.
but I don't think it ever went any further than that.
So that's
So it
something
was
we
less
have to
than,
do.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right, I guess there was never a number, but it was, this is what we're buying. We all went, oh,
in our budget, yeah.
this sounds good, we
Yeah,
just
you said
never,
it's within.
we never made a motion, you're right, have
Yeah, we
an
should.
exact number,
That's-
Cost
money.
should have
Yes.
brought,
should have been,
Anyways, whatever.
Okay,
Okay, Bill,
so money changes everything, and so board has to approve purchases. Is there an expectation of the committee as to how many purchase bids they get? One's enough? 2, 3?
You're
Okay,
not spending over 25 grand, right? Cause then that art.
It's over 25, it's gonna be-
Right,
Yeah,
it's not, doesn't have
So
to be
the committee-
publicly bid, but you can still,
Look up.
get,
Yeah,
we normally got a couple of estimates, bids, what I call it, it's a quote, and then once it becomes approved, it becomes a contract, because you accepted their quote, okay, but having comparison is always good, in most cases, you can get 2 or 3 pretty easy, on most things, okay? Not all.
Was that,
Well, you know, there's-
with the park committee with?
I looked at it from a
research?
different website.
That was easy enough to do.
There were probably 2, but.
well, you know there's gonna be people that show up at a meeting and say, well, how many different places did you price these items at?
Right.
So you should probably have, the town should probably have a recommendation
2.
that they have at least 2.
Yeah, like in the bridge inspection, that's pretty specialized, I had a hard time getting 2. I talked to 4 of them, and 2 of them said, what year you want it done? And the other 2 presented, and they were relatively close, we did take the low one, you know. Collins and Ayers were the 2 that did it, and then one bridge inspection report that on Bill's project to review, that was Corps Engineering, they had the contract last year for Walworth County for all the towns, okay, so.
And
Got
if,
to.
if you can't get more than 1, put that in the minutes.
Sure. Yep. Okay, we didn't discuss committee numbers yet, and kind of what I heard here on Park Committee, unless something radically changes in how we manage the park, you know, it's at 1, you had mentioned, well, maybe help or whatever, I guess you gotta tell us, you know, if you want another member there. As of right now, I'm sure it's not overbearing, but what's the future, next year, year after, you see it being about the same?
Well, Michelle, you mentioned having help from DPW. Can we,
I wouldn't add them onto the committee. I would suggest that just, you know, if you want committee minutes written and presented as part of the packet, the minutes would just say, I used impact fees for the purchase of playground equipment. Todd from the DPW helped with the installation. I mean, just put it in the minutes. You don't really need to add them to the committee.
Right, but why would,
Is there employees?
you're saying to have minutes even though you don't have to have an agenda?
Oh,
What's,
you're right. Park committee, as long as there's just Michelle, there wouldn't even be minutes.
Right, that's what
But
I'm
I
asking.
would just, in my report,
Correct.
Oh,
say, I
oh,
recommend purchasing this, and
Sure.
this.
Yes,
I got you.
yes, and
We
if
still
you
have
have
to go
no,
back to verbal versus written reports.
right, so if you have no activity in that month, the park committee say no reporting.
Right.
You're done.
So this month, it'll be, Todd told me the porta potty's still out there, so I contacted the soccer club to have it removed.
There's the one they put
Yeah.
on.
I have to put that in writing?
No, because you're a one-person committee.
Two. When you have a meeting, that's when
It would just be.
the public needs to be apprised of a meeting of a governmental body.
When you're reporting, yeah.
Verbal.
Well, I'm hoping so, but verbal would be all right.
Right.
Verbal for you.
Report.
You're a representative. You're
Don't
not-
mind what he's saying,
Yeah, but I'm
with
still-
this
yeah, I'm still-
porta potty example.
Isn't this going to where we either write it, we have a written report no matter what we do, or we're gonna do verbal, isn't that one of these?
That's what we're saying,
I
yeah.
mean, I give a verbal
I
report.
guess that is different than notice and agenda.
Right.
You're
it's
right.
driven by minutes. So if the committee has minutes, they
Yeah.
should be, I would, frankly, I'd like to see a written report for everything, because the faintest ink is better than the best memory. And I can't believe we actually allow items on an agenda without handouts, I've never
been like this
participated
from
in
the
any
day the
board
board
like
was
that.
Started.
In all my years with city work and county work.
In small communities
so
instead of big
strange.
cities, it's a different,
Well,
townships or villages.
the written stuff
Count
would
Walworth
certainly
County, Jen.
make us more
Everyone,
transparent to the
Well,
public.
they should, their entire county,
Now that the package
we're a
is-
township of,
Right.
you know, I understand what you're
They
saying, I'm
wanna
just
know
saying that's the way it's
whether
been
there was
since
something
it
or not.
started.
Yeah.
Unless you were here.
but
No, they
it
still
would
don't have the
also,
packet.
No, they would hear the actual discussion, now they can see it.
But I mean, as far as,
Yes,
when we say
that,
transparency,
Moving forward.
it's because we now post the packets.
right,
That's what makes the difference. Before, the public wouldn't have known if there was anything in the
Right.
packet or not.
Well, I think that actually speaks toward including written minutes for all committees,
yeah,
because that would be part of the packet then.
correct.
well, and it also allows us to read it and not have to do a verbal, a whole, I mean, the fire district one is much shorter.
Well,
If I-
you would still have to give a verbal report.
But you would have to read the whole 2 pages.
Oh, gosh, no, you should have been doing that all along.
Right, that's
It's
what
there in the
I'm saying.
packet,
Right,
and here's
a
my.
summary,
Summary, yeah, highlights.
yes.
It's exactly what Barb did on Monday night. Instead of reading a report, it was there, we accepted it.
Right.
See, it's what you're-
It's a consent agenda item, we don't,
But you don't even have to, this board doesn't even have to accept her minutes or report, because it's not a town committee.
Correct. No different than like you like, and I don't get,
But
I
you
don't
have
get
to-
our
you
minutes
have to
until
approve the
after
minutes
every meeting, I guess.
Of the park committee,
I'll give you the minutes if you
of the
want.
recycling committee, and then plan commission minutes you already vote on.
Mhm.
Correct, correct. So the one we're really missing the most is probably the communications one. And
Oh, yes,
that you gotta get in there.
yes.
And again, that's, you talk about the transparency part of it, yeah, and I think if anybody was to figure out, okay, what's happened, you know, since you started, by February, March, right, full committee, they had nothing, you know, so that's definitely, we gotta get that going, so.
Michelle, do you envision, needing the communication committee to continue once you've chipped off the 4 areas that the master plan set forth?
I think we still have to figure out then, yeah, like how much is handed off to the staff and.
Well, and how much.
Most of it's
What
been
to the
handed off to
Yeah.
Jen. Most of it's been handed off to Jen. Jen's the one that's done the
Yeah.
work.
The website and stuff, so now what, will the newsletter be the same, or will
Well,
the committee continue to give direction on the newsletter?
Yeah, we didn't talk about
Or
that part
feeding
yet.
Who
and-
gives the office staff direction?
Okay,
Mhm.
we have, in our ordinance, the webmasters are Kim and Jen and Jean. They're the ones that do the entry. The stuff gets to them, should be from the board as a whole, okay? But when we do the newsletter deal, that's gonna be everybody, every department here and every board member. That probably, the monthly meeting before you're gonna get it to the newspaper or wherever it's going, the board's gotta see that. The board's gotta review it. I think even Jim should probably.
I would say anything that's on the official town website or on the official town Facebook page, the board should approve what's being posted on
Right,
both.
well, that hasn't happened
That
since.
can't happen on
But-
Facebook.
But I'm just saying, that
Jen's putting
hasn't
stuff out
happened
there
with
that's social,
pictures and,
social,
I
yeah.
mean, that means she can't post
She's sharing
anything,
school
or,
district
you know,
stuff, she's sharing
then that has to come through.
intergenerational.
It'd be very
stuff.
difficult, I think, to do
Photos
every
of,
single,
Ice cream
Railroad.
social in the park.
you know, I
Yeah.
mean, that would be pretty
Jen
tough, so.
has authority, that's what we gave Jen authority to do, and if she has a question about anything, she goes to Jean and she goes to Kim, because they're also webmasters, and as a trio, they give the final thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah, but
Jen-
so
But I
far-
think that's why we wanna build that social media plan to kind of help give direction on some of the town things. It's easy to pull stuff from the
Right.
community, but we'd like to see more content specific to the town. So that's why we're building a social media plan by month, just with ideas to put out there. Oh, the e-cycling is everything, you know.
Who goes to Jen
Maybe
with
whatever.
that? Is it
The
any of
committee.
us? Is it
Well,
I would think the communications
Everybody
committee
on
would
But the
go,
communications
But
committee.
everybody on the communications committee can dump stuff to Jen to put
That
on.
is-
That's why we're making the plan.
that's why you
Put it
do
in
it,
the
at
plan.
you do,
And then
saying.
consolidated plan goes to Joe.
And from here on out, from what I'm hearing, is they make a plan, what they want to go on, and it comes to the board, and we say yay, and then she puts it on.
I would say that's proper.
I mean, that's what I'm hearing here, is the board
Well,
approves
like
it.
the PowerPoint,
The
I mean,
problem
everybody had a
is-
kick at it, right?
But what do you
We all had
do?
a part of it, we created, that got on there. The other stuff we posted, like from the, like the needs assessment, that somebody else produced it, we posted it, okay? The spreadsheets that we see every month, the ARPA and the building.
Right, but
Improvements, cabinet improvements, that was put on there, but that you guys see every
Well,
month.
we've seen it, but I'm just asking, if you wanna get to the nitty gritty, and technically, we should be saying, yes, put that on, or no, we shouldn't. If-
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
should.
and I don't like that idea, so to
I
speak,
thought
because
we-
you're tying hands where, does it really matter? Does it make a difference? Is that a bad thing to put on there? But if you're
If
gonna
it's an
do it, if
official
you're gonna,
town site,
if you're gonna
and
do it
you
for
are
one,
the
you gotta do
official
it for
town
all.
representatives that were elected,
So no, even she doesn't have the authority to put anything they want on, or anyone,
Yeah,
any of
I-
the ladies in the
I don't
office.
think the
that-
webmaster should be given that
But I I,
much latitude.
Okay, we need to discuss that part more, cause the social part, to me, is harmless, and it's just pumping up the community. It's community vote and stuff that probably exists somewhere else, but here it is, okay? But if we're putting a newsletter together, that's gotta be here.
Well, if a photo's harmless, but in the picture, someone's wearing a Make America Great Again hat, and then she puts commentary under the picture about how she doesn't like this side or the other, and then it comes back to the board, like, how can you allow this to be on the town Facebook page?
Okay, okay, actually, I don't do Facebook, I never seen it, I'm not gonna look at it, I'm never gonna look
I
at it.
mean,
I look at the regular website all the time, you know?
some people with Facebook, there's an expectation that to keep it fresh,
Yes,
something goes
something new.
on like every day or every other
Yeah,
day.
Which would never be able to happen, really,
Right.
unless like, you said something about, you make a month's worth of plans, and then you go in and, I have no idea how that works, but you can schedule it, so if you wanna keep it
Drop
fresh,
in.
then the
Oh.
whole month's worth of okayed by the board, which, I don't know, I think it kind of, I agree with, but
Cumbersome.
it takes away from kind of, I guess, what I was
Current
thinking.
events, kind of thing.
Right, all of a sudden something
And you
pops
have
up
to
and, oh
understand,
man,
she's got another job.
we
She's
forgot
the
about
clerk of
this.
court.
I forgot about, that, it would be really easy
Media
to
is
miss.
not,
And plan commission.
yeah, media is not.
And she's not gonna be
80%
available
of
to
the
always post on Saturdays or Sundays.
No.
Well,
Or you
she
can
did go
schedule-
from 30 to 40
Schedule,
hours.
schedule it on certain
Okay.
times, then you don't have to
Okay.
touch it. So if you take a certain part of your day and you schedule it out, and then,
For the
so
week.
you don't
One
have to touch it
posting
again.
a week should be adequate. I mean,
I would think.
It's
And what's
52
every-
more than we've had in the past.
Right.
I will say though, without giving staff administrative oversight, that is really a bad idea. And once she or he would put the wrong thing up there, we would be
You guys are the ones held accountable
all
for it.
over them for our mistake, but we would put the blame on that person for doing it, because we lacked the oversight and supervision, that's our job.
True, but there is also a level deal there, and like I said, the social part is, to me, it's just,
Professional expectations.
it's true, but to me, most of that's harmless, but you're right, you get one bad one in there, ooh, how'd that get in there? I don't know, I guess we should have that discussion. Okay, we're not gonna
We
do
can
that.
postpone that discussion, but to me, it's paramount to this discussion. We can figure out when and how, but the who is the key, who's in charge, we're in charge. And no disrespect to the work that the communication committee does, but the communication committee, be it 2 or 7 members, whatever they put together, ought to be approved by the town board.
I agree.
Moving forward, Chad?
Or whatever schedule they come up with as to what they wanna see posted on every Monday, this is what we're expecting. I mean, I'm not sure, I'm not on the committee, so I don't even know what is discussed there, but I don't know how you'd be able to create a schedule unless every Wednesday is like picture posting day on the Facebook page.
And I don't think, the social media plan, I don't think we're getting that detailed, we're just
Okay.
like giving ideas. In January, there's, snow removal, or, or if you have, if your mailbox is hit or something, you can
Oh,
contact your.
sure.
Those,
Okay.
kind of things.
Those are
you
pretty
know.
innocuous.
April, oh, the parking isn't really, now you can park at night or whatever.
But they could,
There's
but the committee though, I think can be having discussions as to, what would be timely in any given month, or
Right.
what's coming up with future events, and you
that's-
could get something to the board. Say, here's what we're proposing, and have the board okay it.
Yeah, like I said, right now, we're starting just with the whole calendar and putting ideas out there
Okay.
for the calendar. And we're not gonna specify on the 15th to do this
Okay.
and on the 6th to do this.
Yeah, that would be,
But just
that wouldn't be workable.
idea, around the holidays, the office will be closed, just simple reminders or.
Okay.
It
All right.
actually makes people aware that there is a town, there is a government, we do things, it's really been wonderful.
Yeah, that's all helpful. So, I guess, we covered the gist of this, but I'm sure, we're aware now, okay, agenda, right?
I said,
Agenda
but I didn't have the
Posting,
stuff on it.
agenda posting, minutes, and a report. You don't have to read the report, like these two people don't, but they have a report, and that would be in the packet. And then, you don't have to even go into the detail other than, you probably explained probably already, kind of like what your next month's report would be, here's what we're working on, right? Here's what we're working on, And, I think, if we're talking transparency, that's paramount too, so. Okay, I think we had a lot to chew
Will the
on
board
here.
decide what they wanna do with the webmasters,
Well,
or what direction you're gonna give them?
to me, again, you guys tell me if you see something that, is out of line here or worrisome. I thought, again, I don't see the Facebook part of it also, I don't know what you're talking about there. But what I've seen on the, website so far is, main thing is making sure it's fresh and old things are removed out of there. And the useful information, some of these questions come up here, again, put it on there, like they put that needs assessment back on there because, people
There were
are saying, well,
questions.
what needs assessment?
Right.
Well, it was up there for a year, but
Right.
that was 2 years ago.
Plus,
That was my understanding of when we started this, and this is why we started this committee, was, and I understand what you're saying in legality wise, but we started the committee to kind of empower, to a group of people to come up with ideas, to come up with what we're doing, and then try to help run this Facebook page where you almost have to. We trust everybody for writing down their time and hours that work in this building. We don't punch in, we don't punch out, like a little bit of a trusting factor on posting that, because let's say they ask about it at a meeting, or someone is asking about it, well, Kim can't put it on there, you're saying, until it goes through the whole board and we vote on it.
Well, and-
It's gonna really make it
Like-
tough for a
like
simple
I've
thing
gotten
like
stuff
that.
from the election commission, they send out like media items and stuff, I send it up to Jen, she picks a couple, she says, okay, does this sound right? I say, go for it, she posts the stuff.
And that's what I'm saying,
And if it has to go through the board, I mean,
right,
this is already coming from the state, if it has to go through the board, we might as well say, forget it.
that's what I'm trying to say, is this is gonna make it very, very.
It's not even necessarily a legality thing, it's a discussion you five need to
Big
have.
difference between that and this. I see what you're saying.
There's no law that says,
Sure,
So
now
we-
the board has to approve Facebook pictures before they go
Or pay it, I mean,
post it.
or
do
anything.
you think
that
they
we-
need to approve election?
I guess I'm not saying it's a law thing, I'm asking.
That was not my suggestion.
That what?
Well, I got stuff from the state for elections, from the election commission. This is media resources they issue to us. I sent them to Jen, she picks them out, she checks with me, does this sound right? I say, perfect, go for it.
That's not a
So-
legal issue for
No,
me.
okay, I'm not-
So that's
Okay.
for them to decide.
So that's
if they
what I'm
want.
asking, so now we can't, and that's what I'm saying, to
So
get
you-
empowering them in
are-
some sort, in
Are
certain
you gonna empower
circumstances.
me to
Or
put
does she have
stuff
to bring
about
it to the board
elections?
once a month?
Elections?
Are you
You're the
gonna
only
empower
person you
me
can empower.
to forward Jen something about
Yeah.
ATV safety? The DNR sends me all this
Right.
stuff about
That's a new thing. You
safety,
said you
about
read
boat safety,
public
so
info.
are you gonna say that's okay? you have to come up with parameters about what you're gonna
Well,
let
but
us.
the communications committee can bringing up stuff like that about boater safety, and this is the new laws, or here's the, but that's what I'm saying, I
I
think
get the
just,
resources.
but what I'm saying is, to some extent, I think do we really have to have every single thing come through us?
No.
Cause that's what I'm hearing,
Well, you guys,
that's what I'm hearing.
you
and I
guys
don't think
oversee
That's
the
what I'm
town
hearing
police
too.
Facebook page?
We
That
should
what?
not be micromanaging
not at all.
everything.
Yeah, no, if we start doing that, we're gonna be having an extra 4 meetings a month.
But that's what I'm trying to
That's-
establish here, because we're saying that everything that's, where some are saying that everything that goes on there, it needs to be on us, and I understand that. But I thought we were setting up a communications committee to kind of, to set this up, and we're hiring, and you guys as a staff, to kind of run that. And I understand the concern and reasons why, but it can't be every little thing.
The same example I gave earlier here, if something shows up on the town police Facebook page that someone doesn't like, you guys are all getting blamed for that too. And you have nothing to do with
There
that.
was something on there I didn't like when our last chief was here that was posted, I'm like, what the heck? I mean, I didn't complain about it, but.
Yeah, so we never even talked about that one, because that, kinda run the, no.
But it's still.
We haven't talked to the chief yet, because we haven't
But
had
Jen
that
is
2-month
running
meeting, you
the
know?
police one, and if the police department trusts her, we should trust her to put stuff up on a timely
If the
basis.
chief gives her something, what, are we gonna go into
I
that?
get it.
We should be aware beforehand what's being posted.
I don't know how that's gonna.
I don't know how we're gonna possibly do that, but.
She
I mean, on every
posted, she
single-
reposted today WTMJ4's post about Waukesha Strong, they decorated their snowplow, they're gonna be in the Christmas break, she reposted that. Do we all need to approve that before she does it,
To me,
and
that's-
how are we gonna know in time for,
Right, yeah.
to
Right.
approve it?
Things happen so.
To me, that's
other
purely
people come up,
social,
I don't know we can do that.
Innocuous, and we're not gonna waste our time with that. I think if we take the two extremes, that's one extreme, the other extreme would probably be the quarterly newsletter. That, we gotta see, you gotta see it. Now, how you close that gap to where it's,
If we're gonna do a newsletter, of course, we're all gonna,
Right,
yes.
right,
we're all
right,
gonna
but,
Look at it.
you know, some of that social stuff is just to make it feel, pump up the community
Right.
and inform the community of what's going on in our town or
And I
related to
think,
it.
I mean, us as a staff, our mission for the website and the Facebook page is positive
Yes.
information
Mhm.
about the community.
Supporting.
Well, you're the town person in charge of running the elections here.
Correct?
Yeah.
So you don't need their approval, in my opinion, to post something that you get from the state regarding the upcoming election.
Agreed.
I agree with that, but that's not what I was hearing, is why I'm
Well,
asking.
again,
No,
it's a matter
I
of
agree
degree.
with you,
Yeah.
we know micromanaging.
Right,
I think
right.
we're kind of pushing ourselves in the corner where we don't know what we don't know. And perhaps we could pick 5 or 6 communities and ask them who and how they manage their Facebook pages and or their newsletters.
Well,
Who gets final say?
The ones that have an administrator, the administrator does that.
Sure.
We don't have an
The ones without
administrator,
an
so to
administrator.
speak. You're as close to it as we got, okay? But,
You don't pay me that extra 30 grand a year, so ain't going there.
okay, all right, I think we got the heart of what we wanted to get accomplished here, but we also gotta keep in
How about-
mind that we have to keep,
What about?
I-
Members on the committee.
I didn't hear any changes here right now. You said a park committee, no?
Yeah, but what happened with the communications committee?
How many
Which part?
would you
How many
like?
people? Yeah.
Ideally.
I had originally requested a committee of 4.
Okay, and right now you got 3.
Yes,
You
including
got
Barb,
3.
yes.
4 members, okay. Park committee, right now it's 1.
Well, if you're writing minutes and agendas, what's the difference if you have 5 or 7?
Yeah.
I mean, they,
Right.
up to you. May as well have more the merrier if people can bring
But he
things
wants four.
in there to help out. or-
One
I'm
short.
sorry, I didn't hear that.
At least one.
Are you asking me?
No, I'm kind of saying it's to the group as a question.
Well, I'm asking the chair, to do what they've gotta do, how many is an ideal number? I mean, I think we had 7 in the ad hoc committee.
I think
The
it's
ad hoc
more
had a
than
lot of
that.
work,
I think
so it's
more
probably
than
10.
10,
Yeah, the ad hoc committee had oodles and oodles of work. the whole idea with this is as you go along your timeline, hopefully it gets streamlined to a point where it's, some parts are then outsourced, like you said, to the staff, and now you're doing the strip, you know, the brain power of it, the creative part of it, the brainstorming part of it, your normal work, because now we got the camera stuff, okay? We got the website updated, right? Okay? The newsletter we said we have to, that's the next big thing with communications, correct? Okay, and I'm not sure, what other part, I think you mentioned the Facebook aspect of communication. That's what it is, so if you think ideally it's 4, you need another one, okay? Park committee is 1. I heard there's probably plenty for now, but then again, I didn't hear you say it. You think for now 1 is good, or should I go search one out, another one, you know?
I'm fine.
You're fine
as
now,
it is now.
but I
The board
expect-
is fine with the activity that's happening, it's not a lot.
Correct, it's the soccer deal, it's the landscaping deal, and then we did the improvements with the playground and stuff. And then this thing that, the coordination with the electric railroad for their event there, I don't know if you were along with that. Okay,
That was Jen.
but that happened there. So we're saying that's okay for now. The other ones are really set, like I said, the library won't change until we get to a different agreement / different arrangement. Emergency Services District, same thing, if you change your bylaws and committee set up there, or your board set up, that could change. Communications, you said 4. Booth Lake, we got 2, that's good, right?
That's part of the agreement between the 3
We
municipalities.
have 2
2 members per community.
for community, okay, so there's a 6-person board there,
Mhm.
okay. Lakeville Management District, not ours, Powers Lake, not ours, Smart Growth, really no activity unless, what I told you. Recycle Committee, we want the agenda posted and minutes for the 2 meetings a year you have. If it's by yourself, there is no meeting. So you're good. I think Jim said it's posted anyway. Cable Review Committee is really dormant unless something happens with 5G. That's what I see. And then we'd have to determine if that's not really cable, even though it is cable. It is cable that's attached to, you know, receivers, you know, instead of internet. So, and Plan Commission, that's set up in our ordinance already, you know. It's a 7-person board, of which 1 member is gonna be a town board member, okay? And before remember when I got on the board, at that time, the chairman was also the chairman of the Plan Commission. And the discussion I had with Miller and Montez at the time was that that's too much power on one plate, that's not right, you know? So we changed that resolution, so to speak, or, yeah, it was a resolution, to say that, there are 2 members, one of which had to be a board member, but did not have to be the chairperson, you know, and so that's what we did there. So that one, there was really no change there, and that's it. A disaster coordinator, that's you, and you're appointed for 2 years, that's per the ordinance, okay? And,
Also, I'm done in April.
What do you mean?
This is my 2nd year here.
so you,
When I got elected,
The
and I'm
emergency,
2 years in this April.
Yeah, he's gonna reappoint you the next month.
Do I have
There's
to
someone will.
Or my voluntold like last?
Well, once you get the
Something
plan,
you
then you're-
connect with the county on and their.
Just like recently, there's been more activity for the last 6 months, but it was not much going on for the years before,
Oh,
according
the
to the last.
it's active now.
But it is active now, when Joe's and I are getting together to
Yeah, it's
put
going.
together a plan.
And again, that one, I believe it did just say 1 person, right? That's what it said.
I thought so.
I'm like, gotta go to the votes except plan you biannually. That's
So we
actually-
didn't really change much of anything in terms of requiring a motion, because the majority of the discussion was what meetings need notices and agendas, and then what meetings you want minutes for, and those would be for town-created committees.
Correct,
And you don't need a motion for that, because the law already requires that.
correct.
So you guys aren't making a motion on anything else then? Just
The only other
hearing.
thing is asking for written or verbal reports, and that is from appointed, like, are you asking for a written report from Booth Lake? Otherwise,
No, because that's
instead of a verbal, that's,
that's representative. And there are meeting minutes,
there's minutes, you can.
right,
Yeah.
but that's actually a different, that, your representative, it's not a town.
It's not a town.
It's not a town,
Right.
it's not a government body created committee.
I just wanna know if you want, you
No.
may bring the minutes from the months before, every time I come to
Well,
submit
'cause
to you guys to look at, or?
Joe emails them out ahead of time. So.
The minutes?
Yeah,
Joe,
Joe Wisniewski, he's on the village board, he's the secretary.
Secretary for the.
I don't know that I've ever gotten emailed minutes to me ever. I get them the
Well,
day
then
of.
maybe it's, cause John and I get them.
I'm not complaining about it, I've never seen them, I've just never had them in an email form, I always just get them the day of, and that's why I get there early and read through them and see what I got going, but,
Okay, and this is a general question,
okay.
not to embarrass anybody, but whenever you're a new member on the board, the town association has training programs, okay? In person, Whitewater usually for us, they have a module that's for new officers and one for continuing officers.
Some of the best training there is.
It's huge, it's great, and it's also available, online at WTA. I asked you, I'm embarrassed, did you go through any of that training?
Yeah, online stuff.
Mhm. Not board review, actual town officer training,
We
we
did.
really go through
We
that.
did 2 years, not,
No.
not
yeah, when we first started, there
Yeah, we
was,
did.
You go in person or?
Yeah,
online.
we all did
online.
online, because Michelle and I asked questions.
But they have it every single year.
Every year they have that.
And I would
Yeah, it was
definitely
something-
recommend
it
you
should
go
be reviewed
every
every year.
single year.
I
This
wasn't,
year
I didn't
it
do it live,
was-
but it was recorded
it
and I
was
went through
during
it, so I wasn't
our
there
chief
in live
interview
times, cause I wasn't available, but it was recorded and I went through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's excellent and it's needed, and I think that I was talking the other day to Bill about this, he says, do I have this thing memorized? And the parts that we use a lot, yeah, but there's parts in here that.
Mine's got
You'll never
highlights.
have it, yeah, you
You'll
have
never-
post-it notes and
Highlighted
handwritten
areas.
stuff in
Yeah,
mine.
paper clips or whatever, but again, it was mentioned that everything that we do, state law actually tells us we can do it. You know, we're government, that's just the way it is, and if it says you can't do it, obviously you can, but if it doesn't say you can, that don't mean you just go ahead and do it, you know, on your own either, you know, so. I refer this also, as you said, you know, boy, that's getting
So I
old,
can ask.
there isn't one coming out, but it was supposed to be this year, and we'll ask that question to the people next couple weeks from now in Elkhorn, say,
What about
hey, you heard you're getting a new one, that's 5 years out, you know.
Is that what they're still
And the
calling
green one, I think
Yeah.
somebody else did.
Yeah, I had
the monthly magazine?
That,
Magazine, that,
That's
you know,
really.
there's some case law that's gonna have to go on there.
I've never gotten one.
And that's,
Oh, 2021.
okay, it's on.
okay, so that was
It's
pretty,
the
pretty good.
But I
So I threw away my old one.
To it.
Get to
But this,
Okay.
that's 5 years, that's,
Well, with,
A long
maybe
time.
with your password thing, I'd be able to.
okay,
We have what we have,
I think we're good to go here, unless anybody's got any pressing needs. I look for a motion to adjourn,
make a motion to adjourn.
we have a second. We have a second. Any discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Actually, a motion to adjourn does not need discussion. You know that? Robert's rules. Laying on the table, no discussion. Adjourn, no discussion. And Kim, you know all about that. Why don't you adjourn?
No discussion.
Huh?
Can I take this with me?
Way more than a way.
Yeah. And then,
Wow.
I had to mailbox
Wait a
one
minute.
person,
Yours and
me
Jean's also.
Chad looked at it, take it off, and put it in somebody else's mailbox. Then it's filed.
Yeah.
Every 2 years.